Oh, yeah. Hey, everyone. Welcome to That Phil Show. Dan here.
Mick here, hello.
Oh, heavens, I can't stop playing this thing. So, hope you're all awesome. Hope you've had a great weekend. What'd you get up to the weekend, Michael?
I went to watch 30 athletic men chasing an egg yesterday.
Big brown egg.
I went to watch Bath play some French team.
Ah.
Something 92. I assume they're Paris, named after the arrondissement in Paris, I would imagine. Well, actually, I don't imagine. I know. And that was good. Flipping heck, man. I played rugby up to first year of uni level.
Did you?
Yeah, first year of uni, and then it got like serious.
Okay.
Then there was real men,
Manly men doing manly things.
unhinged men weighing 22 stone.
Right.
And at that
In
point,
a ruckus.
I realised I didn't quite have the mentality for rugger at that level.
Okay.
But watching these guys yesterday, flipping heck, man. They're proper athletes now.
Yep.
It's not like a bunch of fat crazy blokes like it used to be. Do you remember?
Well,
Back before it was professional, rugby union.
I don't remember. I've never really followed it. My brother's a massive. He used to play rugby. Played for the police. Actually,
Did he?
Yeah, he was a serious rugby player.
Yeah, it was a good crack. Less so the first pint of Guinness at 11:30 in the morning.
Come on.
And as regular viewers will know, I don't normally drink beer, so I thought I'd give it a go because it makes me depressed.
Okay.
So I had 5 pints of Guinness yesterday. I actually feel all right.
Don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Yeah. So we'll see. Anyway, it was a good day and I enjoyed it. And I want to say big thanks to my friend Graham for giving me the ticket. So anyway, sorry, God, flipping heck. Talk about tangents. Welcome everyone. Welcome to viewers' comments and questions. I don't know. I'm holding my phone as if I'm about to do something. Big thanks to BV for moderating, being in the chat there, and of course, massive thanks to everyone for joining us this week. If you're new, we prioritise the super chats, and I'll be turning the super chats off. Well, probably about now because we do need to finish on time tonight for various reasons. But yeah, Dan is holding. Yes, he is a 1962 Gibson Les Paul. If you're confused about the fact I've called it a Les Paul, you need a history lesson. It is.
Look at this, it's so beautiful. I can barely stand it, it's so beautiful.
It's
so gorgeous, it's so beautiful.
It's a really great thing. Dan is thinking of buying it because it's become available for a fairly attractive price.
Yeah.
So probably do what I did and shift a bunch of stuff in order to raise the guitar buying tokens.
Yeah.
Are you in that frame of mind?
Yeah.
It is really good.
Oh no, I know.
And we're not just saying that. We plugged it in earlier. Dan's very easily excited, as regular viewers will know, so he picked it up on Friday and said it's the best guitar he's ever played in the world. Or words to that effect. I'm a bit more po-faced about these things, but it took all of about 3 minutes to go, oh yeah.
Yeah, and I am remaining very calm, and I want to make the right decision, and I'm in no rush to make a decision.
That's very healthy.
So I'm absolutely getting it. There is no question.
It's a great guitar.
Yeah.
It's a great guitar.
When I got to this,
I am just going to turn the super chats off. So if you super chatted up to now, we will answer, but the super chats are going to get turned off now.
Yeah. So I because I've always wanted a really good SG. I've got a 61 Junior, which I've had forever.
You just got in, Joe, by the way.
Well done, Joe. And I bought this a few months ago which is a 61 reissue.
That is a good guitar.
And it's a great guitar.
That is a good guitar.
And it was actually playing this guitar that I thought, oh, you know what? I would love, I just kept an ear out if there was an old one, like a player going, because this has had fairly major repair, I would say.
Yeah, it's had a heel repair.
Anyway, this same gentleman that sold Mix 345
to Thorpe, who I
Thorpe,
bought it from.
He got in touch and said, "Oh, I've got this if you want to have a look." And so I'm having a look. I'm trying to remain calm, but I'm failing miserably. It's a very, very beautiful thing. It was a great excuse to go and see my old mate Dave Gregory again and hang out with him for the afternoon, and pulled out all manner of
thumbs up for Dave from Dave.
Yes.
Dave says yes. That's quite the endorsement. Anyway, right. Sorry. Before we get too much more into that, we've got Sean Jeremilatos on tonight.
Oh,
hello, Sean. We've
g'day,
got
mate.
Cal Vetronic on from Gateshead. We've got Matthew B. Kennedy on. We've got Stephen Grant, Miles Blintz, Daryl Tankersley. Gordon Rankin is on. Gordon,
G'day,
I will
mate.
reply to your email and your amazing generosity. Thank you.
Yes, bud.
Frankie Holt is on. Andy White is on. Gary O'Neill is on. Elliot Green.
G'day, Elliot.
Elliot says thanks to whoever bought Mix Casino and stopped me making a decision I can't afford. Met a lovely guy called Matt last week. We had met at a gig before. Matt came and picked the casino up, and very happy he was too. Yes. Hang on. What's going on here then? Pause. There we are. Stephen Cassidy guitar is on. John Prudhomme, Chris Smith, Brian Mills. Racing 92 says Brian Mills. I couldn't quite work it out, but yeah, that is exactly what they were called. The opposing team who played Bath yesterday. It was a very good game.
Oh, did you enjoy it?
I did.
Was there much clashing and gnashing of?
Lots of clashing. They kept. If you just throw it forwards, you'd get there much quicker.
But they keep doing this.
They keep.
Like, there you have it.
No, it was a really great game actually. I really enjoyed it. But the flipping heck, man. The captain of Racing 92 is, I think, the South African captain, national side captain.
Right.
He is a man mountain.
Oh, really?
Just enormous and powerful and quite scary, even from like 50 metres away. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. Bailey Robinson says, hello from sunny Dorset. Hope you're well, Dan and Mick. Are you looking forward to the Six Nations? Well, maybe I will get a bit more interested in rugger again. It is a good excuse.
I didn't know you used to play.
It's a good excuse for drinking. Yeah. I played all the way through school and then a little bit at A level, and then first year uni. But I didn't play very much at uni, to be fair. It was a different game by then.
Right.
Full of, well, we've been over that ground. I definitely was not hard enough to play that game.
Oh, okay.
I don't mind admitting it. Hello from Chico, California, says John Caliguri. Punotted Bumhucker
Every time.
is on from Bavaria.
Every time.
I did have a question from someone here who said, was it redundant to have the Kingsley Juggler into a TS1 2-rock? Because, referencing Friday's video, the Juggler is a Dumble style overdrive pedal, and of course the TS1 amp, which is down there, is a Dumble style amp. So do they cancel each other out? I'm just trying to find P. Lawless, I think it was from. My screen has just moved again and I apologise. Oh, come on. P. Lewis. Was it redundant? No, because in that environment I'm not using the TS1 in its overdrive state. I'm using it clean, which might seem like a terrible waste, but actually paired with the CRS, the other 2-rock, both just on the edge, is a wonderful thing. So when I use the TS1 on its own, yes, I'll use the channel switch and use the overdrive in that. So I wouldn't use something like the juggler. But when I'm just using the clean channel, it kind of does that job very well indeed.
Yeah, it's an amazing thing.
Yeah. Lots of tweaking to do. Listening back to the audio, I was a bit sad listening back to the audio.
Oh no!
Yeah, it was just too much gain, too much bass, too indistinct, too much flub.
I want to do so speaking about that, I want to do a show and get Doug in, bring out the bass, and just explore different levels of gain.
Yeah.
And say, okay, this is this. Now, this, you might think this sounds pretty anodyne, but this is what it sounds like in context of a band.
Yeah.
Right. And this is what, if we turn the gain up, and it's a lot of fun, but here's what happens. I think you need to hear it.
Well, what the thing that's been, I guess that we all know, well, maybe we don't all know, what I have always known intrinsically, and what's always been my experience in terms of playing, and what I think the penny that is dropping harder and harder and harder is, for me anyway, in the way I like to play, and I would include Dan in this, I think we're probably on the same page, the tone really does come from volume.
Absolutely.
And what volume gives you with a nice guitar and a nice amp is less requirement for distortion.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because the harmonic interaction of the guitar and the amp is giving you what the distortion would give you at low volume.
Yeah.
It's giving you sustain.
So true.
It's giving you harmonics, and having the courage to just play a bit cleaner. Again, let's reference Van Halen, AC/DC, even Richie Blackmore. Those sounds are so much cleaner than you would think they would think they are.
I came in today because I haven't had a chance to turn this up loud at home. So I came in today, plugged into this, just the clean channel and just loud, and all day.
Yeah.
All day. Didn't have to work hard at anything. It just the sound pressure level and interaction between that amplifier and this guitar.
It's harmonics everywhere.
It was crazy.
Yeah, really, really lovely. So that's the pursuit, I guess, and that was what putting that board together was like. But like we all do, turn the gain up because it's exciting, and all of a sudden it's just Mush City. There were some lovely sounds in there, don't get me wrong, but anyway, it's we live and learn, don't we? We live and learn.
Scott Gaylor says, "You are not helping my SG gas." Scott, I think you would sound flippin' fantastic on an SG. I really do. I love your guitar playing. You're amazing. But I think on an SG, and that mid-range kick that SGs have got, I just think you'd sound great.
Clarity.
I'd love to hear you. I'd love to hear you on one. Just grab one and film with it.
Do it.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jamie McEwen, who says, "Hello, lovely people," and Mick. Thanks, Jamie. Anyway,
that was funny.
all good. Right. Let us get into the super chats, and to Christian Tegan, are the super chats still on? No, I just turned them off, Christian, because we have quite a few to get through. We're going to make a video on compressors tomorrow.
Yeah.
We've got the new little Universal Audio ones, the LA2A and the 1176. But it's going to be, look, 5 minutes ago, the only thing any guitar player knew about compressors was the Boss CS3
and a Dynacomp.
and the MXR Dynacomp. That's the only thing we knew about compressors.
And we did okay.
We were all right. These days, we've got all these posh compressors that have come out, and there's one really, really cool one just come out from, or about to come out from J-Rocket. So we're gonna stick the Dynacomp and the CS3 on the board, and then go. Have we evolved?
Yeah, exactly. And as guitar players, with all this, these compressors are amazing. But as guitar players, really, how far have we come? Is the new stuff giving us anything extra than some of these old favourites and these really simple comps?
And then hopefully we can sort of tiptoe through some suggestions of what you might want to do with a compressor that isn't just play funk or get a real squash. Are you enjoying how that guitar looks on the camera?
I just saw myself with it and I thought, man, look at that's really cool. See, I had a flying V for years, and I saw myself in the mirror with the V and just went, nope, sold it like a week later. Says, I cannot pull off that guitar. But looking at the SG, I'm going, yeah, come on.
Yeah,
Come on.
It's
So beautiful.
It is unspeakably cool. It is unspeakably cool. Todd Roy says, Mick, Dan, I'm hankering for a Firebird. What are your thoughts?
Well, one of the reasons I went and caught up with Dave is we are going to do a Firebird show.
That would be Dave Gregory, formerly of XTC.
Yep. Now, Dave is a massive Firebird fan. He has 4 original vintage Firebirds. And we're going to get on the show and we're going to pull them out and talk about them, and because they are an amazing guitar. I am stunned at how flexible they are. The clean tone is beautiful. The Firebird pickups are completely unique. They are like the perfect blend of humbucker and single coil tones. And no one knows Firebirds like Dave. So we're going to get him on.
I'm really looking forward to that.
It'd be really fun. Yeah, we can probably film next week.
Really looking forward to that. John Smith's coming in again as well on the subject of future shows, which will be really lovely. He's got a whole new rig and a whole new thing and a new record coming out. So
awesome.
That'll be nice. Yes, okay. One more then before we get into the super chats. From Rasmus Thrain. Hello, Rasmus. He says, what are your thoughts on Ash for a Stratocaster body? I want a 1955 custom shop Fender Strat. Yeah, if early 50s tended to be Ash, and then they migrated to older into the late 50s. Lots of see-through finish ones remained Ash because it's a prettier grain. So if you see a classic two-tone Sunburst 50s type Strat, it's going to be Ash, or at least it should be Ash. And that's what it should be. So yes, is the answer. Loads of different types of Ash. A lot of that early Ash was nice and lightweight and blah, blah, blah. You'll find it called all different sorts of things. Different story once we get into the 70s and they go back to using Ash, and there was all this really mentally heavy Ash. So some of those, Strats getting up towards £10 usually have a very heavy Ash body, which is what my old yellow one is, wherever that is.
Okay.
Hilariously heavy. So yeah, early 50s, nice light Ash. It's a very beautiful grain figure, and in the two-tone Sunburst, that's kind of what it's got to be, I think, if you're into the traditional thing. 55, very cool. Rabia's 55 custom shop Strat is one of my favourite Strats. It's such a great guitar.
Yeah. I remember we were at a guitar show. We're backstage. Katie Tunstall was there. I can't remember. Oh, no, it was the Boss event. Might have been the Boss event.
Could have been, yeah.
And
yes,
I
it was.
heard this Thunder God guitar tone, and I thought, what on earth is that? And I went, it was Rabia with that Strat into his Kraken, and it was just, he sounded unbelievable.
Yeah. I'd like a maple board one day, like a really traditional 50s type one.
Right.
Anyway, right, let's start motoring. Let's start motoring through these super chats then, because we have got quite a few to get through. First up tonight will be round and round and round she goes. Where she stops is Iron Wolf 1776.
Very good, very good.
He says, I haven't got here for a while. Just wanted to say it's great to have you guys back in the normal schedule. Have a great year and a great day. Well, thanks, Iron Wolf 1776. That's very kind of you.
Mate. Thank you, buddy.
Thank you so much. Dewey Finn. Hello, Dewey. He says, I play mainly outdoor gigs, and sometimes I'm provided one outlet to power my entire band.
Ooh, yes.
Dan, do you have any advice for dealing with bad power?
So it can be tricky like that. Yeah, they give you a 110 amp plug, and it's like, and you got to do the PA and the bass rig and everything off one. It's not fun. So if you can, generally, the problem is you're running everything. Let's say you're playing in a marquee, and the marquee is next to some posh dude's house, right? And they've just thought, last thing, we need to give the band some power. Let's just roll an extension lead out the kitchen window. And they, you go into the tent, there you got the one little thing. Get them to roll another lead, or having one 10 amp plug isn't going to be enough. But if you can get another extension cable, it'll just give you a bit more room to cope with it before things start tripping out. You'll have on the ring mains, they'll have different areas where you've got the power from the garage and power from the kitchen and power from the lounge room or whatever, and they'll all be on different sections of the consumer unit. So if you are struggling, just get them to have one in the lounge room and one from the kitchen, and that will sort you out. But it's a tricky thing if if they've got a generator. Just generally, if they know what they're doing, it'll be a nice thick cable capable of delivering lots of current, because you're going to need it, especially with a PA. Never underestimate how loud the PA is going to get at 11:30 when everyone is inebriated and everyone's up jumping around and dancing, how loud that PA is going to get and how much power that uses. So, you need to make sure you've got enough juice. So, short answer, cover your bases, get them to run a second cable so that you've got enough current capability.
Yeah. If you're really serious about it and you do a lot of it and you are genuinely concerned about it, you could consider a power conditioner. So companies like Furman manufacture a rack mount unit that'll have a number of outlets on the back, maybe 8 outlets on the back. So you stick that in between the mains and while that won't necessarily give you any more voltage, it will clean. It will be internally
more
will
current,
help.
But and there are ones as well that charge portable rechargeable batteries. So if anything does happen, it gives you enough current for like half an hour.
Yeah.
And so
maybe even from a safety point of view, I don't know, do those power conditioners help there?
Yeah, they can do.
Because if you've got, like Dan was saying, the dude is 2 bottles of wine in and he's uncoiling a
thing
two-way that's
across a wet lawn,
20 years old, across a wet lawn, and
Yeah.
then says, "There you go, boys."
Yeah. And his daughter's drunk boyfriend comes in and accidentally kicks the power out of the wall. And,
Yeah.
And
and the the family Labrador is happily gnashing on the cable. I think we've all done those gigs, haven't we?
Yeah.
So it could be from a safety point of view, you might want something in between that and your microphone.
Yeah.
Yeah. So check them out. Power conditioners, not tremendously expensive. Like you can get a basic Furman one for about 130, 150 pounds.
Yeah.
So
they're handy.
Maybe do some reading on that.
Yeah. E. Mooneyham says, "Is there something on Dan's hat, or is that a logo?" It's a logo. It's the Affected logo. Check it out. Hang on. Isn't that cool?
We go to I just want to make sure I've got the address correct. I think it's affected.co.uk. Go to affected.co.uk. That's something that Dan and Catherine and I started a while back. And we do nice things like guitar straps, t-shirts and hats, but the deal is these hats are made in the UK by a very nice small company. The guitar straps are made by a very lovely company in the UK.
Yeah, it's all artisan.
Celebrating artisan craftsmanship. Yeah. We will do more with Affected over time, but we like it. So yeah, check out affected.co.uk if you like the hat. Matt McGrath. Hello, Matt. Matt says, great video on Friday. I was wondering if you'd played the Strymon Brig yet, Mick. Only pedal that could unseat the Dig for me. Also, hope you're healing well and it wasn't too serious, Daniel.
Oh, thank you very much. My scar is healing Yeah, it's very good. I've got... So there's stitches underneath and stitches on top. Stitches on top are out. I'm waiting for the stitches underneath to dissolve.
They melt, yeah.
And then I can go back training. But this is, the Brigadier. Or
Yeah.
no, the Brig...
Brig's new.
The Brig is new. This is the older one, the Brigadier, but it's a similar thing.
Yeah, so the Brig is 3 distinct analog delay voices and with some interesting stereo and mono configurations. I just Googled it before. I'm sure it's great. It's so hard, isn't it? There's so many. After we did the show on Friday, I pulled out another 2 delays that I wanted to hear. The Empress Tape delay and the Earthquaker Disaster Transport SR.
Right.
I think that's what it's called. And where do you stop? And I've got to stop somewhere. This will only sound bad-tempered, and I don't want it to. I just don't dig Strymon stuff. I don't know if it's something about the brand or if it's something. I don't know what it is. I never gel with it.
Okay.
The only Strymon thing I've ever wanted is that.
The
Volante.
Volante, yeah.
And I don't know why that is. I don't know what it is. I'm not a fan of the Strymon sound,
Right.
the hi-fi thing,
Right.
which seems to be in pretty much all Strymon products.
Okay.
But of course, that's why so many people really love it.
Yeah. No, I've
You love
used them
it.
for years. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think in certain rigs, certainly in the rigs that I used for years, it's sounded wonderful.
Yeah, so it is a bit of a sort of bias on my point, I guess, that I don't know, I'm just not into the brand.
You
and
never got the interface.
couldn't make it work.
Yeah, I think that was the big stumbling block for
I
you.
remember doing a couple of shoots, video shoots, and taking along a timeline for the guitarist to use, and neither of us could work it out, and that happened twice, and I'm like, okay, I'm out.
Right.
Which would only require 20 minutes of reading a manual. I'm not saying it's
Sure.
impossible, and I think at that point, maybe that was what made me check out, as it
sure.
were.
Sure.
So, but the sounds, you can't argue with the sounds.
No.
So many players have them on their boards, and they sound great. So, yeah. Yeah.
Robin Ford's got a timeline on his board at the moment.
Yeah.
He loves it.
I can hear it on his last record.
Yeah, right.
I'm like, oh, you found a timeline.
Yeah, we're going to I've got one of the Clinch Effects EP pre's,
Yeah.
so I'm going to put that in the loop
Oh, okay. Fatten it up a
and
bit.
fatten up, not change the direct
Yeah.
tone, but see what happens to the
Yeah, just fatten up the delay tone.
yeah, just see if he digs that.
Despite having 2 digital delays, I think that we were choosing between on. Actually, no, the choice was only one, wasn't it? It was the Caroline Kilobyte and the Jam Delay Llama. It sort of came down to. I also want to avoid digital modelling if I can,
Sure.
but there's so many digital delays that sound great, but they're digital delays and they're supposed to be digital delays. So like the 12-bit thing.
Yep.
A digital delay that's supposed to be a digital delay, not that is trying to model something that could be done in analog. Because if I was going for an analog delay, I would just get an analog delay.
Yeah.
That's the point.
Yeah, totally.
Maybe. I don't know. It would be nice to hear it. It would be good to hear it. But man, there's so many good delay pedals. Back to the top. Michael Giliberto. Hi, Michael. Hi to all TPSers from Chile, Connecticut.
Ah, wow.
I'm mixing Friday's Back to Basics show with the Boost Drive video from 2023, minimal board, with a Kingtone Duelist, a Paul Cochran Tim, plus a tuner and a halo. Thoughts?
Well, hard to go wrong with that.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's all there, isn't it?
yeah.
So you've got 3 distinct gain stages, so you can stack them up however you like.
Yeah, and then you've got the massive halo. I mean, that's such an extraordinary sounding thing.
It really is. I would use that, and if maybe I just need to sit down with it, because again, I couldn't make that work either. I couldn't figure it out intuitively. But maybe just the manual, because it really, really, really does sound good, that thing. Oh, God. 20
This is interesting. So
look at you with your Tim.
So Gordon Rankin says, it's weird as I design high-end digital products for a number of companies. I just can't stand putting a digital pedal on my board. It's really interesting. And so, Gordon, we've had these conversations before about digital and where it's amazing and where the limitations are. And, you know, it's it's very, very interesting.
And it is a misnomer. We sometimes reduce it to digital analog and make an instant assumption about that. And I certainly do. I'm very guilty of it. I think at this point it's not about the digital modelling and the quality of the sound. It's the flipping converters.
Absolutely.
Because there is a reason, and we've had this conversation, Gordon has chimed in on this conversation before, there is a reason that high-end DACs cost tremendous amounts of money in studios.
Yep.
So you shrink that all down to pedal size and you do it as best you can. And all those things we were talking about earlier about loud, like this guitar loud through a really revealing amp, and putting something with an average DAC in the middle of it.
Yeah.
It takes something away. It does take something away.
What is that old bit of recording software that loads of guys are still using purely for the DA converters?
Oh yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, that it's a
Propeller, Reason.
some old thing.
Yeah, I don't know.
But the converters are so
okay.
good, and everyone's going, well, you know, I use other Apple gear, but these are the converters. Yeah, it's important stuff.
Yeah. JJJ says, is there a distortion pedal that has good fuzz capabilities? There are quite a few. And funnily enough, a Rat is pretty close to one of them.
Yep.
Rat can get quite fuzzy up there at the top.
Yeah, indeed.
Watch Friday's show, which is 10 new fuzz pedals, and there's 2 on there in particular that are quite distortion-y and go into fuzz. The other thing I would recommend is the Thorpe Warthog.
Absolutely.
Which is making it onto my board.
Yeah,
I've decided
banging.
The tube driver can go off and do something else. The Warthog is going to do the tube driver job as the higher gain option.
Yeah, yeah.
And then, anyway, some other stuff.
Yeah, lovely. That's great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Adrian Van Leeshout says, g'day from Mullumbimby in Oz. I can't sleep and this is perfect. Yeah, we'll put you to sleep, mate. Don't you worry. You just keep an ear out. You'll be... And CD says, hello from Brisbane. Nice.
Scam Watchdog says, best analog delay. I've never heard anything that sounds as good as Dan's Electro Harmonics Deluxe Memory Man.
Yeah.
Never heard anything that sounds as good as that.
But the one analog delay that you and I both used for a long time was the Analog Man ARDX20. But you had to have the Amazio, you had to have the external modulation device.
Yeah.
But that thing, man, was wonderful. Is wonderful. There's lots of really great analog delays out there.
Yeah. Dodd Rubberneck, for goodness sake.
Yeah.
Which I think is analog, isn't it?
Totally analog. I really like it. It's one things that those analog devices do have. You know, they've all got a character and they can be a little bit noisy, and as long as you can live with that stuff, then you know they're amazing. But the Sir Discovery,
Yeah.
I mean, that's a flippin' amazing sounding thing.
Yeah.
Lots of great ones.
Loads of good stuff out there. So yes, Michael, we like that. That sounds really good. Rob Mrazek. Hello, Rob. He says, thoughts on Chuck Berry? I never hear him referenced. Definitely before our time, but his playing was inspirational to many.
It's funny that, isn't it? Because you know the songs, but when you actually think about the guitar playing, and there's a really fantastic clip of him and Keith Richards, and they're doing the intro, and Chuck keeps stopping him going, if you're going to play it, you got to play it right. You know,
It's not down, up, down, up. It's up, down, up, down.
It's like, yeah, man, I think he, from reading interviews and stuff with him, he wasn't one to go out and say, yes, I'm the greatest guitar player in the world. He was very humble about his...
Yeah, I don't know if humble is the right word.
Yeah,
he was a grumpy old sod.
Okay.
From everything I've heard about him. I saw him very briefly once he played at the Cambridge Corn Exchange, and that thing about him driving himself to gigs and collecting the money before the gig is all true.
Wow.
And but hang on, no, let's not get into that. Yes, of course, his influence on what we know as rock and roll guitar can't be underestimated.
Mm-hmm.
And I would guess he took it from T-Bone Walker in the way that B.B. King did, and it then became rock and roll, didn't it? And maybe because of that generational split, like you suggest, we heard it via the next generation of players. So in the same way that I didn't know B.B. King existed as a kid listening to Eric Clapton all the time, then you realise and you go back and you check the source.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think perhaps Chuck's reputation in later years might preclude one from loving him too much.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. I don't think he wasn't the nicest guy in the world, I don't think. But anyway, there we are. But yeah, he changed everything, and he made everyone want a red 335.
Yep.
Or 355. Or the wrong guitar in Back to the Future.
Yeah, right.
Jakob Bakker. Hello, Jakob.
G'day, mate.
He says, leg ends. With no band or busking, I got stuck in a rut. What are your favourite ways to get out without reverting to gas? Thanks for all your hard work.
A surefire way for me is to put on music and play along with music, not backing tracks, but actual records. So the conversation that I want to have with Mick is want to do some bit more podcast things. I was in this really interesting period where, things are very busy and there's a bit of anxiety and stuff thrown into the mix. And I discovered that the first thing, if you're anxious about anything, the first thing that goes is creativity before anything else. Creativity, the desire to be creative, it just goes. But because I got myself into a routine of practicing every day, I found that if I played along to records that I love, so I've got the opportunity just to listen to the music, but music that I know so well, and I'll have the Waza Air headphones on and just be flicking through tracks and just playing along. And even if I just get to play a note that I think sounds good, or if I get to play over some changes, I can do that for 20 minutes and come away from that feeling that I've done something positive musically, just for me. You know what I mean? For just to have a moment, and we need to remember that we're playing guitar. This is fun. This is it's not meant to be hard work and we all get down on ourselves. So it's like, we are so lucky to be able to grab these things and enjoy them. And so whatever enables you to get everything else out of your mind and just connect. And so for me, it is playing along to songs that I love.
Yeah, and it's instantly available, isn't it?
Instantly there.
It's right there.
Yep.
Yeah, I think also learning something simple that you might have heard a million times, but you've never learned how to play it. And that could be, the riff from Day Tripper or Last Train to Clarksville by the Monkees, the theme tune to EastEnders. I don't know what might be in your locale, but something that you're absolutely familiar with but have never played, and just pick the notes out, figure out the chords. That can be fun. And maybe like some song that you thought was a dreadfully trash 80s song.
Yazoo.
Yeah, or whatever, and learn the chords, because it'll almost certainly be diatonic harmony.
Yeah, it's all.
It'll go 1, 4, 5, 6.
6 for a really complicated tune.
Yeah, 6.
But the melody will be
4,
all pentatonic.
5, 1. Yeah.
The melody will be all pentatonic.
Yeah. I've just, since I got my head around a bit of that stuff, largely thanks to Joey and Dan a bit, explaining to me that I watched The Sound of Music twice over Christmas.
That's awesome.
And I was explaining it to Catherine. I said they should change the words. Because I know it's do, re, mi, fatty, so whatever. But no one can remember do, re, mi, can they?
Mm-hmm.
And for those of you who don't know your major scale, 1, the tonic, the root note. 2, the minor second.
Major
3, major second. 3, the third, the major third. 4, the
perfect fourth.
They should change the words. 5, the fifth, the dominant fifth.
6,
Oh no,
the major second.
5. Was it a needle sewing thread or whatever it is? Change the words and actually make the words what the
I like that.
what the intervals are,
Yeah,
and
I
the
like
amount of stuff you can learn really quickly. And all of a sudden you start going through those chord changes and you find that it is the root of all bloody pop songs.
Yeah.
Or at least a good many of them. Anyway, that's my rant. If I'd have known that when I was 12, Dan, I'd be Carnegie Hall by now. Anyway, or the answer you don't want, Jakob, is gas absolutely works for me. Buying something.
Yeah. And you know what? It's a thing. So I agree that buy something for the sake of buying something, no. But sometimes if I'm in a rut, I'll grab a piece of gear that I haven't used for ages, or I'll just find something interesting and just find some sounds that I've never played before and explore them. Remember when Noel was saying how he loves a preset?
Yeah.
So I'll grab out an old bit of gear and just go through presets and go, oh yeah, cool. That can be really fun.
Chris says 7, the diminished, the devil's chord. Nice one, Chris. Somebody asked me, somebody asked me a question which I can answer very quickly. Oh yeah, Fender 1960 CS, because you asked in the comments as well and I didn't respond, my apologies. He says, was I playing Bill Withers' Grandma's Hands licks in last week's video? Not knowingly, but quite possibly. I listen to Bill Withers a lot, so it's highly likely. And it's also highly likely that Bill Withers likes all the same guitar players I liked. So,
He is a very, very groovy dude.
yeah.
Who was he signed to? There's some story about who he was signed to.
He just stopped, didn't he? He's like, I've had enough now. I'm done.
Right.
I'm out.
There's a few people like that.
Yeah. I can't write left-handed. Gets me every time. Alan Twilly. Hello, Alan. Nice to hear from you. He says, Dan, I have a QMX8.
Oh.
And I've just bought a Juggler version 3. Is it possible to access the remote functions of the Juggler with the QMX, or do I need another device?
No. So the QMX is only going to open up the audio loops. So the Juggler is switching in and out different gain stages on the Juggler itself. But it does have a remote feature. So you just need like an external foot switch, an on-off foot switch. And there's loads of them out there.
Yeah, Boss do some pretty reliable ones, the
Yeah.
FS5, and there's a double version of it. And the good thing about the Boss one is that you can... So with an external foot switch like that, it's usually attached with a TRS cable, but not always. Sometimes it can just be mono, and foot switches can be what they call latching. So you switch and it's on, and you switch and it's off. Or it can be momentary, where you keep it pressed and it stays closed, and when you take your foot off. So you just need to make sure you've got the right kind of switch. And the good thing about the Boss switches is they have all kinds of switches on the back, which enable you to decide what you want. And then there can be some other things with polarity as well.
Yeah.
To make sure they switch the right way.
And you don't have to have a power supply for them to work as well.
No,
which is very handy.
They take a battery. Some of them take a battery if you want the LEDs to work.
Yeah.
So Boss makes some good ones, FS5 and whatever the other one is, FS6 maybe. But yeah, any TRS switch will do it. It does mean you've got to find some space for it somewhere. But it's a good option on the juggler because protects your foot switches. Simon uses standard foot switches, and as good quality as they are, you keep standing on them, jumping on them for a long time, over a long period of time. One day a switch is going to go. So it does protect the switch because you're doing it externally. It also means you can tuck the pedal away underneath your pedal board if you so, or underneath a shelf or somewhere that's not quite so accessible on the board, and switch the functions remotely. So yeah, it's a good thing to do.
Yeah.
Emilio White, hello Emilio. It's new amp week.
Nice.
I got a Kraken Mark II and it's great for my funk rock band. Thinking of going wet dry with my Duncan Power Stage.
Come on.
Just need to get a humdinger.
Come on, yeah.
No question, so take one from the chat.
Beautiful. Thank you, mate. Yeah.
That's kind of you, Emilio.
I'm a fan of the Kraken.
Yeah.
I think they've done such a great voice in that amplifier. Rabia has got a wonderful set of wing nuts, and he worked really hard with Martin getting that thing dialed in to the point where the boost is like a TS style thing.
Yeah.
It's so very cool, and all the channels in it sound amazing. It's great.
So the question we're going to take from the floor, because Emilio was so kind, is from JWB Guitars. He says, "Hi guys, what would be your ultimate 80s stereo pedal board using the Boss IR2? Thanks. If you have time, would it be a serial or a parallel effects loop? I'm using the RJM line mixer, for example." Or using the RJM line mixer, for example.
There'd be a Dimension C in there. There'd be probably a TC 2290 delay. I would have a CS3 compressor on there.
So on the IR2 then, you've got stereo, what looks like 2 outputs with 1 input with a loop. So it's an amp and cabinet simulation pedal.
Right.
So presumably, I don't know, you can have 2 amps selected. Can you? Mono in, stereo out. Switch between 2 amp and cab tones or an external amp and cab can be turned off independently for isolated use. Okay, so you'd want to be choosing, what have we got here? High gain, slow, brown, modded, crunch, diamond, tweed, twin, clean. I wonder if the one that says Slon is a Soldano. It would be that for me. That's what
Is it a stereo loop?
Mono stereo loop for patching in modulation.
So there you go. So get your TC 2290 pedal in that.
Yeah.
The Dimension C, I guess it could go on the loop because I'm assuming they're not. The Dimension C doesn't work great in effects loops.
It might be all right in this though.
It might be exactly. It might be all right because it's not hitting line level. It's
level,
the instrument level.
Yeah.
So
is it stereo? The Dimension C?
Absolutely.
It is.
Yeah, very much so.
So there you go. Couple of gain pedals in front. You want something.
A rat.
Fill your boots, but something suitably. A Boss DS1.
Boss DS1 and a rat. I reckon.
A rat. There you go.
Yeah.
Into the IR2, and then in the loop of the IR2, you want a Boss Dimension C, a TC 2290, and a Boss SD 3000
Oh yeah.
stereo delay. Have we got that here?
I
Oops, don't worry, it's only a vintage guitar.
don't need to get.
The new Boss
Yeah. So I think
stereo
it's over,
delay
I think it's over the road.
is absolutely magic thing. Yeah, that'll do you. What about reverb? What reverb would you have?
I'd have the CXM, but I'm assuming there's reverbs in.
Be a lexicon, wouldn't it?
Yeah, some sort of lexicon thing.
Be some sort of
or
lexicon.
an Alesis.
Yeah.
An Alesis quad reverb. Stick one of those in there. That'd be awesome.
So you could use the UA Golden. Because you've got big plates in here.
Oh, okay.
And a hall from a lexicon. So yeah, there you go. Hopefully that was involved enough. Oh man, we should do that. And then obviously you need a music man, Luke. And go for it.
Beautiful.
Or if you're really up for it, a Desert Yellow Gem or RG550. Or actually a really heavily modded Charvel. A Kramer Beretta.
Yeah, a Jackson Charvel from the 80s.
Yeah.
Come on, they were awesome.
Yeah, man.
They were awesome. We had guys that doing jazz course with those guitars back in the early 90s.
Yeah. And he says, would it be a serial or parallel effects loop?
I think with that bunch, it'd probably be in series, but you could do it because you don't have a kill dry on the Dimension C. You do have a kill dry on the delays, so you could do it. You could have the dry from the Dimension C and then mix the delays in parallel on top.
It's almost a moot point with modern pedals anyway, because if you've got analog dry through
Exactly.
and a mix control,
Yeah.
you've essentially got parallel anyway.
Yeah.
So depending on how much that mix control dials out the dry sound, because some mixes go all the way around to 100% wet, don't
Yeah.
they?
And if you're doing a wet dry wet thing, then you would need to split the signal after the overdrives to go to the dry amp in the center.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be
It's all
too
fun.
worried about with modern pedals and stuff and modern amps. I wouldn't be so worried about that. A lot of that parallel stuff was really important back then because of all the hassle you'd have with line level from the old school rack gear. But that's been ironed out of a lot of modern pedals.
Yeah.
So it's not such a big deal. Not such a big deal. Good luck. Good luck. WT1701 says, greetings from Sweden. Should I get a vintage Fender Vibrolux
Yes.
or Deluxe to go
Yes.
with my 1964 AC10 in a wet dry rig?
Yes. Yes.
Vibrolux. For me.
Vibrolux.
Yeah. Deluxe be Ace. Vibrolux from memory, a little bit more mid-range grunty, which I think would pair with the AC10 a bit better. I think the mid-range characteristic of the Deluxe reverb and the AC10 will be wildly different. They would both work, but would be Vibrolux for me.
What is the amplifier that Scott McKeon uses? What's his main sort of Vibrolux or Vibroverb? What was the Stevie Ray Vaughan?
Vibroverb.
Vibroverb.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's very much a mid-60s black panel type sound.
Right.
But if you go for an earlier Vibrolux, well, if you get back into the Tolex ones, the brown and the cream Tolex, and then if you go back to the last Tweed ones, stank face. Simon's got one. It sounds crazy good.
Yeah. He saw him play last week. He just sounded so good.
Scott.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing guitar player.
He's the man.
Yeah.
Albus Band, Aaron, hello.
G'day, mate.
He says, as long as there's sex and drugs, I can do without the rock and roll.
Well, I don't know. What's a bay?
Name your 3 favourite inventions
Oh, that's really good.
and 1 bane of your existence. I will say alternating current,
Come on.
indoor plumbing, and hooded sweatshirts. And traffic is his bane. Love you guys. Love you too, mate. It's good to hear from you.
Very good.
I think we have to take the Monty Python sketch for granted, don't we? You know, what have they ever done for us?
Yes.
Sanitation, straight roads,
Education.
law and order.
Yeah, yeah.
So we could probably take all that as
Alright,
read.
apart from, I find the Wright brothers story very inspiring.
What fact do you remember from the Jumbo Jet documentary about the Wright brothers?
Something like the time between the Wright brothers and the... Oh, no, that the wingspan of the Jumbo Jet was longer than the Wright brothers' first flight. Can you believe that? That's crazy. And it was only, I think it was like 60 years or something from the Wright brothers' first flight to man on the moon. Isn't that incredible?
It is.
But what was amazing about the Wright brothers was that there was someone else at the same time who was funded by the government. I think it was funded by the military, who was trying to do the same thing. And he had all the scientists and all the money and all that stuff. And the guys that did it was a couple of guys, enthusiasts from a cycle shop. And they'd go out in the morning and they'd come back when they'd run out of parts. And they did this day after day after day until they cracked it. It's wonderful. And then the minute that they did it, the guy that had all the money, he gave up. So never underestimate the power of the enthusiast, is what I would say. So the Wright brothers, for me, are just incredibly inspiring. Wonderful, wonderful inventions. The guy that did the polio vaccine gave it away, gave it away, didn't make any money from it, didn't see it as a way to make cash, just said, no, humanity needs this. Love that. I mean, the guy that invented the wheel. So this
was it a guy?
No, it's the person that invented the wheel.
Was it a person?
Was
it a person?
Let's say that, like in the thing is that the Maine community, those guys did all that stuff without having a wheel.
Yeah.
So there was a point when the wheel didn't exist, and then there was a point where someone watched a rock roll down a hill and went, "Hang on, I got an idea."
Yeah. And everyone went, ugh.
But I love your alternating current and
that was
Nikola Tesla.
That
was Aaron, was it?
Yeah, yeah.
Go and watch some docos of Nikola Tesla. That guy was flippin' heck, man. Once in a generation genius. The thing that does my head in,
Bane of your existence.
bane of my existence, is it's a gift that giveth and taketh away. It's computers. I say this because they have enabled so much and they're amazing things. But I think as humans, they're making us more separated.
Clearly no argument for me on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I'm not going to be as lofty with my choices because we could say, all sorts of things about modern medicine. Dan talked about the polio vaccine and all that. I'm not going to talk about those things. The 3 favourite inventions. The electric guitar, number 1, above all else.
I hear you. Keep it coming.
And related, the electric guitar amplifier.
Yeah.
Because obviously it wouldn't be much good with that.
Invented the electric guitar. That's amazing. What do you plug it into?
Just hit it hard. What would be next? I was just trying to think what makes a difference in my life. Oh God, it's going to sound very banal, isn't it?
Record player.
Whoever decided to, it's not really an invention, but whatever process meant that dogs got domesticated. However that happened.
So, check this out. Did you know there's a hormone or a chemical that is released, and my wife will know the name of it, and I'm sorry that I don't remember the name of it, but it's the same chemical that's released in our bodies when we feel love and emotion.
Serotonin.
No, it's something like that. A dog is the only other animal in the world that releases the same chemical because dogs evolved alongside humans.
Oh, wow. That is interesting.
And so when your dog looks at you going, they are experiencing an emotion and they're feeling the same thing that we feel when we feel that love. Isn't that amazing?
There we are.
I love dogs. I love dogs so much. They're so great.
David Tompkins is saying the printing press for democratising education. Yeah, that's a good shout, David. The toilet stopped us dying of diseases.
Oxytocin. Thank you, guys.
There you go. Oxytocin. So yeah, that's something to do with dogs. Marcus Reeves said what was on my mind, the coffee grinder. Holbeck still wants to know what exactly is that beautiful SG Dan is holding.
This is a 1962 Les Paul SG shape. Yeah.
Hopefully going to become one of Dan's new guitars. Maybe it was Ivan Pavlov, Mick. Classical conditioning. Yeah, it could have been. Pavlov's dog. So yeah, those and what else? One more that's a great invention. Oh God. Whoever decided that picking grapes and mashing them up,
And then
sticking them in a demijohn,
Come on.
could make them taste like really lovely wine and get you pissed. That. Monks. Go monks.
Go monks.
Bane of my existence is psychological time.
Yeah.
And it is the bane of all human existence. It is the it is the originator of all negativity and all suffering. So psychological time would be the one thing I would get rid of.
Yeah.
Boom.
It's very good.
Gregor Hole says the second invention after electric guitars, easy, beer. Yeah, I think we're... JJJ says toilets. Local Hero says with the bicycle. The transistor says, what'd you check? Jamie Brown, oxytocin. He's talking about the chemical.
Yeah.
Yeah. Writing says Chris Smith is the most important human invention.
Yeah.
Good. Thank you for the wonderful question as always, Aaron. Has Redo Madrid? The first amp I bought when I was 13 was a Selmer treble and bass 50.
Come on.
Get in. Paid £45. 41 years on, I've just bought a Thorpe Scarlet Tunic, which is Thorpe's nod to the treble and bass, the old Selmer amp.
Mm-hmm.
Has new gear ever caused a flashback to earlier playing days? Yes.
That is a great question. Yeah, constantly, actually. Recently we've had a big influx of 80s delays, and I had my old rack delays, and it's like, it takes me back to that and, SPX 90 land. The wet, dry, wet thing, and going back into, playing stereo stuff again, which is, the old rigs used to be like that, for me. Yeah, there's, a bunch of things.
It's simpler for me because I guess I started out gigging when I was about 14. And then at that point, I think I had 13 anyway, I had a Kramer red guitar and a Yamaha solid state amp that was all good. And then for my 14th birthday, my mum and dad bought me a Strat, which the body of which is still out there. So from 14, it's been Strats.
Yeah.
And then later that year, maybe the next year, I got my first Silverface twin reverb and a Boss OD I don't know, a yellow Boss Overdrive pedal, and a tube screamer. So from 16, and then when I was 16, I got my first Mesa Mark III. So from that's the gear I still use pretty much.
Yeah.
A Strat, tube screamer, and the modern incarnation of the modded Fender derived amplifier.
Yep.
And nothing's really changed in that respect. Learned a lot along the way.
Yeah.
I now really appreciate Marshalls and Voxes, which I had no idea about as a kid. So yeah, nothing's really changed for me. When I play an E flat Strat with a tube screamer into a Fender amp,
That's it.
that's like, yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted to do. Although I
great.
have learned that actually you really do need to add something treble boosty as well if you really want to sound like Stevie Ray. That's been a relatively recent discovery. But yeah. Interested to hear what you think about the Scarlet Tunic. We really liked it.
Yeah. Oh, it's wonderful.
Yeah. Okay-tastic. I've seen the Joey Landreth 2 Rock in the background. Yeah, sometimes it's in the background. It's actually over there at the moment. Curious what you think. I'm considering selling mine. Feels funny to say it, but it might be a bit too smooth.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it is massively fat sounding for sure.
Yeah.
To make it less smooth, I would suggest you turn the bright switch on, crank the treble, turn the bass down, crank the gain, and hit it, and it'll be significantly less smooth. But yeah, I know what you mean. I don't know if you went for the 2 Rock Cab, the 310. The amount of bass that thing puts out is mad.
Right. Just all the coupling.
So it is. I get what you mean by smooth, and for those of you who maybe haven't played a 2 Rock that's a bit like that, if you think about something like a Vox or a Marshall that's very urgent and edgy, that 2 Rock is almost absent of that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
A bit like the big clean 2 Rocks, like the Silver Sterling Signature.
Sure.
I don't know whether it's a cathode follower thing, but it's so smooth in its delivery.
Right.
It's a beautiful thing. We should plug it up, give you a listen to it at some point. That's actually Joey's. It's living here for when he tours here. It's easier for him to have one here than it is to keep shipping it backwards and forwards. So, I should imagine you'll have no trouble selling it, okay-tastic, because they are rare beasts. Matthew. Hello, Matthew. Hello, D&M. I was wondering what your plan is with Blue since you've obtained 3 lovely new Strats. Would you ever consider selling Blue? I have sold it, Matthew. It's gone. I had a whole bunch of stuff. I've recently bought a vintage ES345, this one, which is a super groovy guitar. I'm going to say massive thanks to Rob Francis and Thorpe and Dan Coggins for being part of the group of exceptional humans that made it so. But to raise the funds, I had to part with quite a bit of stuff. And it's turned out pretty well, because I think 10 things out, 1 thing in,
Nice.
a couple of quid left over.
Oh,
Simpler life. Happier Mick.
yeah. I had mentioned last week that I was going to sell the 65, but I'm not doing that anymore. I spent the week with it, and there's just no way I could. Because if I got rid of that guitar, it would haunt me forever, and I would never find a way back into 65 world.
Just be aware, there's no way he was ever going to sell that guitar. Because when you said you were going to sell it, I was like, I'll wait until you realise that that's not a good idea. But if you didn't get to that point, I was going to find a way of convincing you that it was a bad idea. So, yeah. So the 65 stays, and I think that's right that it stays.
Totally.
But it didn't, yeah, so I had a bit of a clear out. I want to say, I don't know, Michael, if you're watching this in Australia, I'm sorry I haven't emailed you. 2 people expressed an interest in buying Blue, and it's gone to the first person who asked me. Lovely guy called Graham. He's bought it, and yeah, so Blue has left the building, and I feel really good about it, actually, because it's really painful to see a guitar that you love sat there not really being used that much. And I was thinking about recording a podcast on this because I've thought so much about it.
Can we do that, please? Because
Okay.
I want so many conversations I want to have.
But the short story is, that guitar came along, like all guitars, right? Significant ones anyway. Sometimes they can arrive with you at a time that they need to arrive with you.
Right, okay.
And that happened with Blue. I had some pretty dark times in that mid-2000s before I met Catherine and all that. And that guitar, I have to say, was a big help. Yeah. Musically and focus-wise and all that. And it's a really significant and important bunch of stuff that happened with that guitar. But, all things must pass. And there came a point where life changes, you feel differently about things. And I kind of, without sounding like too much of a hippie, I want that guitar to go and do that for somebody else.
Yeah, it's nice.
And
it's
I know
beautiful.
it's a bit sort of lofty to talk in those terms, but they do have transformative powers, these things.
Tell me
and
about
this thing has come along to do a different job, and that's come along to do a different job. And remember, we're custodians, right? Yeah, we part with a bit of money for them, but
that's just so they can be in our laps for a bit. And
in years to come, it will be somebody else's, and I'm. That's the power of a great instrument. So I'm so happy. I've met Graham. He came to an experience day. Sorry, I don't know if I should say it's you that's got it, Graham, but anyway. And having talked and, shared a conversation and been on similar ground, I feel very good that it's going to somebody who's going to enjoy it and it's going to bring them some happiness. I feel really good about it.
I remember, so when Tin Spirits was a thing, and Dave Gregory and I were on stage with our 61 juniors, and it was their 50th birthday, our guitars. And it was like, this thing is 60, coming up to 62 years old. And it's been through a number of hands before me, and they've had very meaningful experiences. Yeah, look, you all know, otherwise you wouldn't be here, that picking up one of these things and playing a note can actually mean something. And I just think it's what a privilege, what an honor. And, and this has done this for people before me, and it'll do it again for people after me. Yeah. Guitars are flipping awesome, man.
They are. Todd Roy says, glad you feel good about it. Could have gone the other way, Mick, and regretted it. Yeah, again, this I'll expand on this in the podcast, but the type of consciousness that I inhabit these days, it doesn't allow for any of that. Regret's not possible, and attachment to things is not possible in the same way that it was before. So you don't attach too much to something because, anyway, all part of psychological time. I'll expand on that more in the podcast. Chris says, Mick, you should do a show why E flat versus standard. Would love to hear the differences back to back. Yeah, we could totally do that. I would go as far as to say, Chris, it is an entirely different instrument in E flat. All the harmonics are different. I mean, obviously, if you play a bar chord F and then G in the different tunings, you're not going to be a million miles apart. But there is something interesting about the way the strings resonate.
Yeah.
And obviously with open strings.
Totally.
Is where it makes the big difference.
Totally.
Certainly playing in E. But yeah, it affects everything in terms of obviously the tension of the strings, so the bends all feel different. And I swear the harmonics and everything is different across the instrument. And it just becomes, Strat becomes, certainly with the kind of rigs that I play, becomes a different animal in E flat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Jeff McCurlin, hello Jeff. He says I'm caretaker of my vintage guitars.
Yeah, absolutely.
We all are, aren't we?
Yep.
Why stop at E flat, says Freakadelic. That's a solid point. It's a solid point. David Tompkins, the longer you keep a guitar, the more they develop a story with you. That gig, that tour, those songs. Yeah, I totally agree. But I think it's very healthy to let it all go.
Yeah, because the very next comment from James Bless says, they are just things at the end of the day. Very, very nice things, granted, but things are the same. Yeah, they are. They are, but
yeah,
I love how stories, as David is saying, I think stories are so powerful. And when you have a guitar with stories, like I have with Red, there are stories in Red, there are songs in Red. And when I pick up that guitar, those stories are alive to me, you know, and that means something. When I pick up this guitar, I can feel the stories of other people in this. You know what I mean? It's like I'm very aware. When I pick up a new guitar, it's like, oh, okay, it's time to put some stories in.
Yeah.
Love it.
I was blown away at the gear you're selling, says Banjo Had a Baby. Mainly blue and the telly. Well, yeah, blue's gone. The telly,
Can't do it.
he's not doing. It made me reevaluate what must stay. Now 3 nice guitars are becoming 1 great guitar with PAFs. Deal done today. Nice one. Hope you enjoy it. Alex Rivera. Hello, Alex. He says, greetings from Southern California. Seeing how your last episode regarding shoegaze was 6 years ago.
You know what? I saw that the other day and it made me chuckle. It really did.
Have you guys considered revisiting those sounds, especially with Dan's new Jag? Yeah, there was the briefest possibility that Kevin Shields might come on, and it never materialised for whatever reason.
Yeah, but I'm going to reach out and see.
Yeah,
yeah.
It would be because it was a bit of a joke, to be honest, that we did that show, and a lot of people got extremely offended by it.
It's so fun.
And we nearly took it down actually because so many people got really offended by it. And anyway, so yeah, I know more about it than I did then, that's for sure.
If it was us tied down,
yeah,
shoving the glove in our face, then it'd be different.
But what would be like when we had Mike Venart on, for example, and when we had Mikey Demas on a few weeks ago, last week, whenever it was. You know, those guys have knowledge that far eclipses mine and Dan's in certain genre, so it feels right to bring them in and see what we can learn from them. I think, you know, Dan and I are pretty solid on some things, but once we get outside of the dartboard, as it were, it probably would make sense to bring somebody in who is passionate about it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
it makes all the difference.
Hopefully knows what they're talking about.
It was funny though.
Scent of a wheelchair pillow says, Jesus Christ, it's minus 32 degrees here in Denver. Hoping the show will warm me up a bit today. Always happy to start my Monday with you two.
Bless you, mate. So I got back from Australia and it was like, you know, I was gone from 40 degrees to 0, waking up cold in the middle of the night. And it's like, how you can do that sort of absolutely ridiculous temperature is amazing. We were in Minnesota and there was like an Arctic snap.
Yeah.
And that was silly cold.
Yeah, it was properly stupid cold.
Yeah.
I don't know this. Those of you who live in colder climes will know, but there comes a point where it doesn't really feel that much colder. It just gets much more dangerous. Like I saw a thing, and I don't know if it was fixed or not, but there was somebody in Canada pouring a kettle out, a boiling kettle, and as she poured it, she does this, circle
yes,
upwards.
That's right.
And it freezes.
The whole thing freezes
because it's like
instantly.
minus 30 degrees C. I don't know if that's a fake thing or not, but I mean, it's plausible, isn't it? Yeah, minus 32. Wow, that's cold. I like the cold. Sorry. Because it generally means it's not raining.
Joe Pardo says, not sure Kevin Shields is the right choice for a generic shoegaze episode. My Bloody Valentine are their own genre. Slow Dive or Chapter House. No idea what their guitarists are called. Actually, Slow Dive, there was someone posted something the other day with a picture of their boards and suggested that they come on the show. So yeah, look, I think it'd be really fun. And then also, Paulie's Guitars and Gear has said Uncle Larry is going to be on TPS in 2024. It's written in the stars.
It is.
It is. It's going to happen.
It is.
At some point this year, we're going to go to Nashville. We're going to hang out with legends. We're going to do country music stuff. And we are going to hound Uncle Larry into submission. Going to just camp outside his place until he comes and hangs out with us. or has his card.
I don't think we'll need to do that. I think he'd be well up for it.
That'd be fun.
John Pardo says, sorry, I was going to respond to that, John, what you said. That's the other thing that happened when we put that video up, is everyone built little walls around their genres that they feel terribly protective about. And it was a bit like talking to a metal kid in the mid-late 90s, where that's not the right kind of metal, it's this kind of metal, and these two metal genres are never the twain should meet, and everyone got really protective about it, like this isn't shoegaze, that's what
it is funny.
It was quite funny.
Yeah.
It's the same as please don't think I'm having a pop. It's the same as the dare I say, the blues Nazis, and I've been around enough of them in my time.
Sure.
Where this isn't blues, that isn't blues, that's not
but
blues.
It's the same thing.
That's too jazzy, that's not jazzy enough.
Yeah. It's the same thing with prog.
Yeah.
Because we didn't have any keyboards in Tin Spirits. So people are going, oh, you can't be a prog band if you don't have a keyboard. Yeah, I'm like, no, check it out, man. This is prog to the bone.
Yeah, I ain't got time for any of that. I ain't got time for that. Ride, Swerve Driver and Catherine Wheel, says James.
Yeah,
West.
very good.
Yeah, nice. Nice. Tom Frank says there's some science involved. The temperature difference of boiling water to sub-zero temperatures causes the water to freeze instantly, while cooler water won't have the same instant effect. At least that's what my high school chemistry teacher said. Yes,
Yeah.
it's something to do with latent
Yeah,
heat capacity,
it
isn't
is.
it?
Yeah, it is interesting.
I sort of remember that.
Well, we've nearly got 1,000 people sat there. We're hanging out with us. How lovely. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for hanging out with us. This is lovely. So lovely.
Tommy Beware says, I've got an SG and the neck dive is so bad I don't play it much anymore. Any thoughts?
I don't know a great deal about SGs, but what I do know is the earlier models, the later ones, I think that in 64 they got thicker up here. But the earlier ones, because they had to route out so much wood, the tangs from the neck aren't as secure as they may be. So what it happens with this guitar, you can see here and the heel that it started to crack. Let me just show you this. Right, if I can get this focused. Focus. Right.
Back a bit.
See if you can. Right. You can see it there. Just here it started to crack. So this has actually been doweled. There's a lovely bit of mahogany doweling in there.
Yeah.
Making sure that this is solid. And it's actually made the guitar, the neck, really solid. But it is a problem with the guitars. But that's one thing about the...
Hang on, he's talking about neck dive. Different issue.
Oh, you mean this? Wow, that thing. Yeah.
So
as opposed to this.
The problem of neck dive on an SG is... Oh, God. What the hell? Because the strap button is here, and the neck sticks out. Whenever I play an SG, if I play an A, I always play here.
Okay.
Which is B.
Right.
Because the neck's a long way that way.
Right.
What happens is, if you use a nylon strap, for example, like a normal Ernie Ball nylon strap, because this is heavy, especially if it's got grovers on it, please don't put grovers on them, it does that.
Okay.
Because it's heavy and this slips. So the answer is, get a guitar strap that's suede backed.
Oh, that's cool.
And then whatever clothes you're wearing, it will grip on it.
That's very cool.
But if you've got one of those nylon straps, it's basically slipperier than Teflon.
Right.
And that's what happens. Having a bit of mass here helps, although that's not massively heavy. But yeah, a suede strap, honestly, it all but stops it.
Come on. It's so funny, even acoustically.
Yeah. How did he do that for 2 hours?
Yeah, I know. It's amazing. You've got 1,000 people seeing you do your Angus at the moment. It's really great.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
I hope you all found it riveting and sexy.
I had a listen to was it Hell's Bells? I was out at a gig, and they used that as a like intro music, and the kick drum, boom boom, down and down, down and down. Have a listen to that kick drum. It is outrageous. But going back and listening to what he did on an SG, he really captured something very, very special, Angus. He really had a swagger with his playing. It was very lyrical, and sat really in contrast because there's not much melody going on with the vocals.
Well, talk about Chuck Berry's influence.
Right.
All his lead things were, his simpler lead stuff was straight Chuck Berry, wasn't it?
Right. There you go.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, awesome.
Just a quick one to say, a lot of quite a number of people, some lovely people with some gig rig stuff, and thank you very much for your very kind comments. I really appreciate that. Not to gloss over them. I thank you. I really appreciate it. It's lovely.
David Tompkins says, suede grippy straps pull your clothes, which is uncomfortable. That's why I use nylon straps in the first place. I guess it must be some sort of fundamental difference in technique then, because I've always used grippy straps.
Yeah, but your straps are also quite wide.
Yeah.
And all the nylon straps that I know are quite thin.
Yeah.
If you put a grippy strap that was thin, it would pull, but the wide straps, there's enough pressure on your shoulder to keep it.
Could be.
Yeah, and you're quite broad. You're a very manly man.
I also hold the neck with my fretting hand.
Right.
Like, I don't, unless I'm having one of these moments, which I would do with this hand, and support the neck with the where you put your fingers. Isn't that what you do? Anyway, yeah. Gav Thorpe says, play lying down. No necktie then, like Clapton in his boozy days. Just be easier to lie down. Oh. Jacob Terrasas. Jacob wants to know, are we going to try the UFX Lion? Check out the video we did with Jack Griffiths, and you can hear it in all its glory in that video. Sounds really good, actually.
Yeah, great.
Sounds really good.
Oh, David Pekarski says Fran from Frantone sells a device to solve SG neck dive.
Oh, wow.
I am a massive fan of Fran from Frantone. She is one very clever cookie.
The other thing you could do is if you removed this and just screwed it in there, then that would work, wouldn't it?
It would, but there's something about the pin for the strap being on the back of the guitar as opposed to here.
Yeah, big time, yeah.
Yeah, and it does.
It's completely different.
Yeah, and it's very cool.
Yeah.
Tis groovy.
Todd Roy says, what's on tap for Friday? Fuzzes. 2 old fuzzes and 8 new ones.
Yeah, this was so many new, really cool fuzzes. We thought, let's throw them all on a board and let's see what sticks.
Yeah. It won't be a big view video on Friday because a lot of people really, really hate fuzz. But Dan and I like it, and it's an hour of excruciating fuzz pain. So we'll make sure the interesting bits and go-to sections are easily skippable.
Yeah.
Steve Cassidy. Steve Cassidy Guitar says, evening, gents from Scotland. Hope you're all well. Do you have a fretboard radius preference?
I don't actually, because all my guitars that I love are all so radically different. If the guitar is set up and rings and sounds great, awesome. I've been playing my Ed O'Brien Strat a lot at home, and that neck is massive. And you know what? I love it.
Yeah. I
absolutely love it. Because it does something with the rest of the guitar. So it's all guitar dependent for me. Obviously, red as a Telecaster is my main instrument, and whatever's going on there, it's great. But I'm really happy I've got to a place now that I've got my gems of the instruments, and it doesn't take me long to get into it.
Yeah, I think because I grew up playing 7 1/4 Strats, and just so used to that, and that's all I've really ever played. If I play a Strat with a 9 1/2 board, it feels alien to me and weird, and I tend not to gel with it. So I like for a Strat, I like the curvy. And it's the same with Gibsons, right? Because there's a 12-inch fingerboard radius on most classic Gibsons. And if that's what you've become used to through playing them, anything outside of that feels a little odd. So yeah, I would say on Fenders like traditional curvy, and on Gibsons 12 feels great.
Yeah.
PRSs use a 10-inch radius. I don't have any big problem with that. Like my DGT.
Yeah, DGT is amazing.
I think has a 10-inch radius. Yeah. The only time it bothers me is if it's flat on a Strat, like a modern Super Strat type thing. I can't. I just
the compound radius
just feels all weird to me. Yeah, but I don't know. Play it for a few weeks, and I rather suspect you get used to it.
Yeah.
Chris Liddle. Hello, Chris. Sorry I missed the first VCQ of 2024, but this is just a huge thank you to everyone at TPS and Jam Pedals for the Ripley Fall, which I won in November's giveaway.
Ah, mate.
I am really enjoying it.
Awesome.
Nice one, Chris. It's a flipping great thing.
So good.
Ripley Fall, analog chorus and phaser, and you can mix them in interesting ways, and it is just a beautiful chorus. It's their waterfall chorus.
Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah, really, really lovely. Lovely thickening. Thickening it does. Right, my watch is buzzing at me. Why is that? BV is saying he can totally hook us up with Tom Bukovac. Good. Nice.
Very good.
Dan, you don't have to camp outside Book's house.
Okay. I'm just saying.
Cheers, BV.
The lengths that I'm willing to go to make it happen.
I've caught up on a few. God, what was this thing called? My brain. Homeschoolings. I caught up on some homeschoolings over the holidays, and I had to stop watching because he's so good. It does actually physically hurt a bit.
I know.
I mean, he's so good. He is so
good.
Yeah,
he is so good.
And the music just pours out of the guy.
It's all music. Everything, every note is it's part of something bigger. So
and
amazing.
I had to have a break because it is. Anyway, but I got back into it and watched it, and it's like, man, he is so good. Back to the inspiration question earlier. Watch Tom Bukovac. And if you don't want to pick up a guitar watching Tom Bukovac, there is something seriously wrong with you.
I think it also has to do with your mentality. Because I would find it easy to watch Tom Bukovac and get really depressed.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I think that's why Tom's views aren't in the millions.
Right.
Because people watch it and they're like,
why do I bother?
This is unattainable.
Yeah.
There's nothing in this that could ever be about me, because social media is about me, isn't it? It's not about anyone else. It's about me. I choose what I watch, and it will be to my liking. That's my gripe about social media.
Okay. Mick says while live streaming on YouTube.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I do understand the irony of that.
No, but I've seen it, and we all see it, where people are so distracted. There's a great big beautiful world out there, and part of the human experience, for some reason, we are attracted to negative things, and there's so much negativity on here, and it's so easy to go, I'm just going to put that down for a bit. Just go, oh, look at this. It's really lovely.
Yeah.
It's been cold here, but the last couple of days have been so beautiful. Yesterday was so nice, just sunshine. It's like, we're just going to chillax, be in the sun and just be in the moment. Like, yeah, it's just a bit more of that, bit more balance. I think it's so. One of the things with technology is it's so easy to lose your balance.
Yeah.
You know, especially in any sort of modern work, we are tied to it. So I think outside of that, it's important to get a bit of that balance back.
Yeah.
And talking musically, I think it helps so much. My favourite part of the day being, back from training, that half hour, 40 minutes I've got with a cup of coffee and a guitar in my lap. It's a treasure.
Yeah, you love it. I'm figuring out a way to try and put some playing in every day because I don't do it, and you have to do it. It's crazy if you don't do it. But yeah, making the time to do it has to be done.
And once you're in it, once you've got that little thing, it's like breathing. It's easy.
I did it with walking the dog. We get this dog, and I'm like, where am I going to find an hour and 3/4 every day to devote purely to this animal?
Yeah.
No problem.
Yeah.
I found it. I found the time. Same with...
And that's been life-changing.
Bit of exercise that I do now. Like, it's second nature. I don't even think about it. It just happens.
Yep.
So, make that into the guitar thing. But at the end of the day, it is all psychological time. That being worried about comparing yourself to someone else and deciding that you're better or worse is pure psychological time. And it's like, you just got to get out of it and go, I am who I am and I do what I do.
Yeah.
For better or worse. Well, actually, not even for better or worse. It just is what it is.
Yeah. And do you like playing guitar? Yeah, that's enough.
Yeah.
Just enjoy it. You don't... I am sure Tom Bukovac, one of the greatest guitar players you'll ever hear, there are guys that he listens to and goes, oh, man, I wish I could do that.
Yeah.
Everyone is the same. It doesn't matter how good you are. Everyone has that experience.
Equally, while I was wrapping Christmas presents a few days before Christmas, I went into my little room there with the stereo and my vinyl player and all the rest of it, record player, and I put on Noel's album and I listened to it nice and loud on vinyl, and I sent Paul Stacey a text message and I was like, mate, this is an amazing piece of work. It is an absolutely astounding piece of work. And in the sort of idiom of amazing guitar playing in the Tom Bukovac style or Guthrie or whoever, there's none of that on that record. No. Not a single bit of it.
Yeah.
What there is just music from start to finish. And that's not, I don't mean to create a dichotomy between those two things because they can happily coexist.
Yeah.
But the guitar playing on that record, from a technical point of view, is entirely attainable.
Sure. Absolutely.
But the songs are equally inspiring and moving and all the other things that make you feel great about music. So you can, what am I saying? You can sort of forgive yourself a bit for not being able to play like Guthrie or Tom Bukovac, because you can still play a song and you can still make somebody feel something and you can make yourself feel something.
Absolutely.
Without it having to be hemi, demi, semi-quavers and the flipping dominant Phrygian minor ball bag.
Yeah, just play a note. See what you can get out of playing a note.
Yeah.
Notes are cool.
Yep.
Then maybe try another one.
Yeah.
Chris Quinn says Alan Holdsworth. Yeah, look, he was the guy that so many guitar players saw and just and still like for that thing, he's still.
Yeah. Sorry, as Dan mentioned Holdsworth, I had a flashback to Wednesday night, our weird little bar here in Frome, Bar Lottie. One of the last times I went in there, Scott McKeon was playing with a bunch of friends, and there's Doyle Bramall sat in the doorway with his supermodel girlfriend, Elle Macpherson, taking things back to the bar, and I'm like, no, I'm never going to see anyone more famous in Bar Lottie than Elle Macpherson. Anyway, flashback to Wednesday when Paul Stacey's playing in there, and the mention of Holdsworth made me think of it because Paul was playing. Man, he was in full flow and was playing extraordinary music.
Right.
Absolutely extraordinary music.
He can do that.
Complex pedal board using totally bunch of weird sounds, but all those Holdsworth chords and the sort of the blend in and the out and almost like the slow gear type sounds and all that. Flipping heck, man. Anyway, so I'm sat there having a bite to eat with Neville before the gig. Glance over to my right. It's Kiefer Sutherland. Actual Kiefer Sutherland.
Just hanging out.
Just
having
hanging
a
out.
beer.
I'm like, what the hell's Kiefer Sutherland doing here? Anyway, turns out he's making a record with Ethan Johns, who's also down the road, or thinking about making a record with Ethan Johns. Don't know if I've said too much there, but anyway. Actual Kiefer Sutherland. He sat there and he watched the whole gig.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And Dave Gregory was there.
Dave Gregory was there, as if it couldn't get any more famous. Actually, it was really nice to see Dave. Anyway, sorry, the terrible name dropping, but watching Paul, oh my God. They were playing some really complex shit. Actual full-on jazz.
Yeah. Welcome to Jazz Club.
Yeah.
Do-do-do-do.
Anyway, blah, blah, blah. I'm just talking. Okay. Sean Jeremilatos. Hi, Sean.
G'day, Sean.
He says, hi, D&M. Great episode on Friday. I love the exploration and found it a great reminder of figuring needs and selecting pedals accordingly. P.S. I'm checking out a used Two Rock Studio signature. Clearly not based on need. Yeah, I think you'll enjoy that amp, Sean. I think you'll enjoy it. Yeah. You know, need is a bit of an odd word, isn't it? When it comes to doing what we do, but because we don't really need any of this. But yeah, for the music you want to play, slim it down. I'm so on that quest of connection and removing barriers to complication.
Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I was thinking about, okay, because I'm putting together a board. We've got some more information on this later, but there's some TPS things happening this year. We're going to do some gigs and it's going to be fun. And I'm going to put together a board. And it's like, actually, I'm really pleased that my board hasn't changed a great deal since last year. It's still just there doing its thing, which is great.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm reading the comments. Make sure I don't have anything to... Anyway, thank you, Sean. Good luck with that if you go for it.
Yes, mate.
It's a very groovy thing. Dustin Thiessen. Hi, Dustin. He says, hello, lads. I'm producing, engineering and playing guitar on a record.
Nice.
Ouch. In an old barn for a buddy of mine this week. Wish me luck. Do you have any advice?
Any advice? Over to you, actually. Just do it. It's going to be amazing. Just have fun.
You somehow need to delineate yourself and try not to do all of those things at the same time.
That's very good advice.
Because if you do, you'll end up playing like crap. If your brain is in worrying about engineering and producing, you won't play well. So here's my advice. Don't know how long you've got, but divide the time up. Get some sounds. In fact, no, don't even do that. Set up, play the tunes.
Mm-hmm.
Don't worry about any recording. Don't worry about how you're going to record it. Don't worry about anything. Play through the tunes, get a feel for them. Happy? Great, you can proceed. If you don't know the tunes, if people are unsure about things, if it's all over the place, I would say don't do any recording. What you're after, if you're going to record as a band anyway, you're after a performance. You're not after a piece of polished art. You're after a performance, vibe, a feeling. You're after the feeling of the song.
More than a feeling, some might say.
So if that's the way you're going to do it, the worst recordings are all, in my opinion anyway, and I've done enough of it, are the ones where you start off, you put the drums down, then you put the bass down, then you do 85 guitar takes, And some music requires that because it's the nature of it, especially if people don't know the tunes. But it always ends up, or in my experience anyway, ends up sounding sterile and a bit kind of lifeless. What you want is for the band, the core of the band, the drums and the bass, at least, keys maybe if you've got keys, to track those beds together. So once everyone knows the tunes, happy days. Then spend some time as engineer. Now you're wandering around, you're listening to where things sound good mic'd. You are trying to get a sound and get those sounds and spend time doing that if you can afford to spend the time doing it. Engineering job done, which might take you a few hours. Take your engineer's hat off because that's all done, right? Now you need to be musician. And it might be that when you lay the beds of the tracks, you've got the drums and the bass, they'll be the takes, maybe the keys, a very simple guide guitar that you can either keep or get rid of. Or if you're across the guitar parts well enough, for sure, put the rhythm guitar down as well, beds down. Then you can come back for overdubs, for vocals, guitars, all the rest of it if you want to. Might be that the setup of the place is such that you've got good enough isolation and separation to be able to record completely as a band, as a complete live session. That would be ideal, but depending on how much you want to produce thereafter, spill might be a bit of an issue. So that's how I do it. Talking too much as usual. Try and separate your role as producer, engineer and musician, and only do one thing at a time. That would be my advice. Oh, there's a terribly, I don't think it's racist, but there's a
I don't think it's racist.
Oh god.
Let's see where this goes.
Yeah, I don't know if I can say it.
Ah.
The punchline is tequila.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a guy that does in America. He's on America's Got Talent or whatever it is. And he's like, okay, so I'm going to sing for you is tequila. The music starts and he's just stood there for like a minute. What? And then he just goes, tequila. And that's it. That's brilliant. Heavens. I'm easily entertained, but that was very funny.
Yes. Yeah. Anyway, you can work it back from the punchline being tequila. You can work it back from there.
Tequila Mockingbird.
That would work.
There you go.
Yeah. Pallidicio vermingaga neuronia. Easily the best name we've ever had on TPS. He says Neil Young's barn. Yeah. That's when they got into all that quad. Instead of stereo, it was quad, wasn't it? They got into all of that quad reflect.
Yeah. Didn't the Beatles have that in their little rehearsal place?
Don't know.
Oh, Dustin Thiessen says, thankfully I've got a guy running the Pro Tools for me, so I don't have to worry about that.
Phew.
I've got a whole day to get sounds before we track as a band. One really interesting thing that I found, and this probably won't occur to you, I spent a week with Biffy Clyro in the studio, and I spent a day with Adam, their producer, before Simon turned up. So we had the high watts and the Marshalls, and I took my AC30 and everything in the studio, with the baffles between them, and had all the, being able to plug into them and get them sounds and everything from the control room. And we were setting up a bunch of guitar sounds so Simon could come in and we could say, hey, we've got this, 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 and this. And what was fascinating was that I got these sounds together and I'm playing these sounds saying, yeah, man, these sound absolutely epic. Simon came in, same guitar, put it on, just go, meh, and it was like, oh my goodness. The sound was so drastically different. And what I ended up doing, I studied the way he was standing with the guitar, studied the way he would, with the angle of the pick, grabbed his pick as well. And then when he'd gone back that night, I redid the whole thing, just trying to get some closer.
Yeah.
And it was like, it is astonishing when you're setting up sounds, if they're not sounds for you, you need to
Yeah.
be prepared for the guys to come in and go, actually, this isn't working for me at all.
Yeah.
I just love telling that story. I just love
It was a pretty
reminding
big
myself.
few days for you, wasn't it?
It was just so wonderful. So wonderful. What a beautiful bunch of humans those guys are.
Yeah.
Truly wonderful. And to be there with a band, the bandiest band I've ever banded. They're just, they live and breathe it. Ah, wonderful. Really wonderful.
Yeah, that's one of the things that getting into this recording gear here has really hammered home. Again, it's one of those things that you kind of know, but you don't know until it smacks you in the face through your own experience, is that capturing that vibe of humans in a room is so infinitely more important than perfect takes.
Totally.
Infinitely more important.
Totally. Jacob Baker says, talking about recordings, Dan, how's things at your end? So I've organised with Mick. Mick's going to help me finish the vocals off because I can't do it. So there's just vocals to do on 2 tracks and just parts of vocals on 2 tracks, and then everything's tracked. All the bands, guitars, and everything's been recorded for flipping ages. So we're going to get that done sooner rather than later.
I think we should get it done so it can be on sale at the gigs we do in early May.
Okay, great.
And we'll get some compact discs printed up.
Absolutely. That'd be really fun.
Which I know is a bit of an anachronism in these days, but
no, people
do it anyway.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
That'd be wonderful. Okay, awesome. So we're going to do that.
There you go.
So gigs in early May, TPS band gigs in early May.
To be announced, not this week, probably not next week, but maybe the week after, with any luck.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. Joe Halliday from Hello Sailor. Hi, Joe.
G'day, mate.
He says, I absolutely love the pedalboard build episodes. It most certainly inspired me to start the rebuild of my own that I've been putting off. I have the Trey the Darkness Permission to Land drive pedal.
Oh, cool.
I didn't know that existed. The sound of Hawkins Brothers audio.
Nice.
What? How do we not know that this exists? Why don't we know this? Why isn't Justin Hawkins on this show?
Would you like to have? Let's get them on the show.
Yeah.
Let's get them on the show. That'd be really fun.
They can show us how to rock.
Oh man, they do rock. They do rock, those guys.
If anyone knows Justin or Dan and they're watching this, please, please, please get them in touch with us. We believe in a thing called love.
We so do. Let me just.
They're such a great band.
Let me just see.
We used to do that in a cover band. It was so average. I mean, our rendition of it was so average. Yeah, nice one, Joe. Zachary Manzanetti. Hi, Zachary. He says, hello from Sacramento, California. I've been looking at Free the Tone's ASR1 reverb, but though I know you especially, Mick, like Free the Tone, I don't recall it getting much love on the show. What's your take on it? I like it. I use it as outboard in the studio, actually. This one. I do. I like it a lot. I've used it on pedal boards a couple of times. I can't remember why I stopped using it. And it does remind me, actually, I am going to try it alongside the Moore. The only thing is it's got the same as the... sorry, let me stop and try and make some sense. Do you know where my flight time is? Is it over there?
It must be over there. I don't have it. Yeah, it must be over there.
Because I might have lent it to somebody. Because I actually think the flight time might be the answer after all.
What's that one?
Reverb.
Oh, okay.
I haven't seen it for a while, and I've got a horrible feeling I've lent it to somebody. which does
Oh
happen.
man, I do that.
I wonder if it's over there.
worst thing.
It might be over there. I lent it to Ainsley, but I got it back off him.
Okay.
Anyway, yeah, actually that does. I might try this. It's a bit bigger. One of the things I like about the new Evermore is that it's very small. But yeah, free the tone stuff, ace. Stereo, line level or instrument level. I do. I use it more actually as outboard in our studio gear. So yeah, everything free the tone is. Yeah.
I thought it was here.
Dial War 3. Yeah, I kept seeing it, but that's the trouble. When people come in and you're like, oh, you must try this, and then you lend people things. And like an idiot, I never write it down. If you're watching this and you've got my flight time, can you let me know, please? I think it might be over there, actually.
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
Yes. So very good, Zachary. I think I was so bowled over by the CXM, Chase Bliss CXM, that I couldn't use anything else for a minute. So I got a bit reverb blind. Dial War 3. Dill War 3 says, hi DNM. I recently got an Empress Tremolo 2 and the manual says it can run from 9 to 12 volts. Would there be a tonal or headroom difference if run at 12 volts? Also, do pedals sound different if they run on a higher MV, maybe you mean MA, milliamps rating? To just explain that very briefly, if it says 9 to 12, only use 9 to 12, but it doesn't matter how many milliamps, as long as it's enough.
Yeah. So 9 to 12, it all depends on the design of the pedal. It depends on the function of the pedal. If it's a gain stage or a compressor, then giving it more voltage can increase the headroom, but more than often it doesn't increase the headroom. In the tremolo, I would be very, very, very surprised if it made any difference whatsoever. Generally, it's a rating on, the capacitors and the op amps, and you'll probably have separate power supplies in there, and there'll be a voltage in and a specific voltage out, and that voltage input has a range. So yeah, depending on a bit of gear, but I'd be very, very surprised if 9 to 12 volts made any difference. Now, current, if the pedal is drawing more current, it depends what the current is doing. Current is the work that the pedal is doing. Voltage, think of it like this. Voltage is measured across things. You have a point here and a point here. You measure the voltage across. Current is measured through. So, and the current is the thing that is doing the work. Yeah. So, if the pedal is needing more current, it means that it has more work to do. And it just depends on what that work is. Yeah. It's all very fun, though.
Yep. Yep. We noticed there's an Analog Man chorus that we've got that really does sound different at different voltages.
Yes,
the bike chorus, we like it best at 15.
Yeah, now, and that's because you have different headroom characteristics in it, and it's very interesting. At 18, it sounds a bit sterile.
Yeah.
At 9, it sounds a little bit too compressed. At 15, it just sits in this really magic place. And that is a stunning,
chewy,
stunning chorus.
Yes. And speaking of stunning choruses, that's the end of us this week.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. At 7 o'clock. Sorry, we do have to finish on time for various reasons. People are asking what this guitar is. It's a 1962 Gibson Les Paul that Dan is in the middle of hopefully purchasing. But like me and the 345, he's got to sell some stuff to free up the guitar vouchers. Good. Right. Thanks for being here, everyone. Many thanks for all the super chats and all the other lovely comments. We greatly appreciate it. Friday is fuzz. Tomorrow we're going to do a video on compressors, and we might do a video called Two Old Gibsons.
Two lovely old chaps.
And just have a bit of fun with it all, because fun is important.
Fun is important.
Yes. I still say the Cardigans version of that is the best version ever recorded. Basically. Especially where she starts going boop, boopy doo, boopy doo, boopy dooby dooby doo, doopy doo, doopy doo. In only the way Nina Persson can. Right, thank you for being with us. We'll see you Friday for Fuzz Fun, and after that on Monday. Jeez, it comes
Indeed.
around quickly.
And then we've got an experience day.
Oh, next Friday. Be nice. Get back in the saddle. Play us out, Daniel.
Okay.
Said I am Iron Man. Heavy boots of lead fills his victims full of dread.